Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another interesting old school combo that I'm really excited to try out and see what it might be capable of. Even though it might be older, it has shown to be a surprisingly capable 40-yard turkey combination for us, with several different shells now actually as well. Now in theory, I have really good hopes for these shells running through this gun, because I think these are probably one of the better turkey load options that we have tested through it so far, so I hope that it works out as well as I think it might be able to. But first up, for the shells we've got today, I brought out some more of the Winchester Super X turkey loads, but these ones are the 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 1.5 ounce payload of lead 4s at about 1260 feet per second. We've tested these a couple times now with some pretty solid results, but we have not put them through a combo like this. So I'm really curious to see how it does when we run it through a combo that isn't necessarily as good as a lot of modern turkey combos actually are. Before that setup, I brought out my old 1952 Browning Auto 5. I'm going to call it an A-5, but there's always somebody that says it's an Auto 5, not an A-5, even though these have been called the A-5 for 80 years now by literally anybody in just common conversation. But it's 1952 Browning A-5, 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch only chamber, 28 inch barrel with a fixed full choke. It measures right about 685 for a constriction, so kind of more towards the extra full constriction range, but it's not uncommon to have a little tighter choke back then on a lot of older shotguns. And really, this gun has patterned really well for us. The couple times we've tested it for turkeys, it has shown to be an actual 40-yard capable turkey gun with most decent loads we put through it. So I don't see any reason why this combo couldn't work out today. These Super X shells are probably one of the better options that you can go buy right on the store shelf for 2 3/4 inch, pretty basic lead turkey load type of shell. So in theory, it should work out and at least be capable enough to do the job. But as for today's test, even though it is a pretty limited setup, potentially, I'm not going to handicap it at all. We're still going to take our shot at 40 yards, and we got the chrono to run it through as well, because I want to see at my typical about max range of 40 yards or so, if it's actually capable there, or if we're going to have to limit ourselves a little bit if we hunt with this combo. So let's get you guys a view of that target, and we'll see what these Super X 2 3/4 4s can do through that old A5. I've got decent hopes for it, but let's take our shot and see what we get. All right, that shell gave us 1348 through the chrono. Boss claim is only 1260. We do have a 28 inch barrel, so we are starting to get up and move on out for a lead 4. And these are one of the hotter loads we've ran through that gun as well. Even though that setup can absolutely handle modern loads, I probably wouldn't want to personally run a ton of those through it all the time, just to make its life a little easier. But that's more than enough velocity. But how did it actually pattern down at 40? And is it capable out at that distance? Okay, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and we see a pretty decent pattern overall, considering what it is, and considering we're at 40 yards here. Do we have a dead bird? Yes, we do. There is one right through the eyeball, and maybe one or two down towards the bottom of the spine that might have just barely clipped it there. So that is indeed a dead bird at 40 yards. However, you can see we favor it to the left on that particular shot. Not something super common for that gun to do. I don't think it was me pulling that shot, so it could just be that particular load favors a touch left out of that gun for one reason or another. Either way, if we had that centered up a little bit better, you can see we have a decent core area going on here. It's not overly tight, but it's pretty even. I think the actual center of our core is kind of right along the edge of that turkey target, or maybe just a hair off the edge of it. And we've got a pretty decent circular shape going on there. That turkey paper is 18 inches tall, and we probably have a 16, 17 inch circle right there off the left edge of that turkey target. So we definitely have a little bit of a core going on there for sure. I'll back up here and I'll pop up a 10 inch equivalent circle right around our core so you can see how filled in it is, and it's pretty decent for what it is. That's absolutely 40-yard capable all day long. Now outside of that, we definitely have a little bit of splotchy stuff up at the top, a few little flyers over here off the right, down there towards the corner, and maybe a few down at the bottom there as well. So it's not a perfect pattern throughout the entire thing necessarily, but it is indeed 40-yard capable if we had it centered up anyway. This is probably one of the better 40-yard turkey patterns we've seen from that gun, but I don't think it is as good as a couple other combos either. If this is what I had to run, sure, I would absolutely use it. And of course, if I was to shoot a bird at 25, 30 yards or so, that would absolutely hammer it. And that bird would never know the difference between this kind of combo and a $2,000 shotgun with a $100 box of TSS today. It's going to be a dead turkey either way you look at it. There's an awful lot of old school guys out there that run those old fixed choke guns, even with 7.5 shot, and still kill turkeys at 30 yards or so with them all day long. So this is absolutely capable of doing it. Overall, I think this is probably pretty realistic for what I expected. Sure, I wouldn't mind seeing some of that stuff around the edges condensed into a little bit more circular pattern. At least bring in that top little clump of pellets that's up above the target there a little bit better, so we don't have that big gap over here on the top left corner. But in all reality, it is 40-yard capable for sure. You could hunt turkeys with that combo. You could do some property gun maintenance with that. You know, get rid of groundhogs, raccoons, possums, any of that stuff would work for that. You could wing shoot with that if you wanted to run an old combo like that. It's probably more shell than what you need for doing that, but it would work. Either way you look at it though, it's a pretty solid performance considering what it is. This is 40 yards for a 70-year-old shotgun with a pretty basic load of Super X turkey shells, and it is still absolutely capable of doing the job. So I'll take it for what it is all day long. You can't really complain too much about that, although you can nitpick the edges a little bit if you want to. So not too bad for what it is. And here's the wad from that shell. Very typical Winchester Super X type of stuff. The 2 3/4 inch ones, although I believe they're the same length, they are a darker gray color, so maybe just to differentiate them in manufacturing or something like that. But it's the same thing you'd find in a regular Super X 3-inch load or a double X or Longbeard XR shell. No major damage, nothing stuck down in there. Looks perfectly fine overall. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? That's a solid turkey pattern for what the shell is, the distance we ran it at, and the old shotgun that we put it through. That's going to absolutely get the job done. However, it seems like that old Browning tends to prefer a little bit smaller shot like 5s and maybe even 6s. It usually patterns a little bit more evenly and actually gives you a little more condensed of a spread around the edges too, with a little bit smaller pellet than a 4. But that's just kind of been the nature of lead 4s in my testing a lot of the time. Sometimes you can get a nasty core that blows the edges open, and other times you can just get a little bit more broad or a little splotchier of a spread. They can be really good performers. You just got to find the combo that they like best, and there's nothing you can do about changing chokes in that old gun. It's a fixed full choke, and I'm not going to thread it for chokes, that's for sure. Either way though, if this is what I wanted to run, I know it would absolutely be 40-yard capable. As long as I had it centered up, it would certainly do the job, especially in there at closer ranges, 25, 30 yards. It's going to crush turkeys any day of the week. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Do you have an old Browning and have you run turkey shells through it? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a pattern or a combo you would hunt with? Or are you still a modern, all-out TSS type person? And maybe what other shells do you want to see me put through that old Browning? I don't want to turn it into a constant test mule for us, but if there's something you guys might want to see, then maybe I'll bring it out here and try it. But leave all your thoughts down below. So with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.